Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. Popular dancehall artist Jashii unharmed after early morning gun attack. Saint Ann man charged after assaulting mother of his child at graduation. And later in sports, controversy at J3A's National Senior and Junior Championships. Thank you for joining us. I'm Shamela Pullen. Here are the details. We begin with news that the 6 men who were shot and injured in a gun attack on Constant Spring Road are receiving treatment at hospital. The injuries are not considered life-threatening. The incident happened sometime after 4 a.m. According to police reports, the men were leaving a party at Marketplace in 2 separate vehicles. When on reaching the exit on Constant Spring Road, 2 armed men aboard a black motorcycle opened fire at them. It's understood dancehall artist Jashii was traveling in one of the vehicles, but he was unharmed. The St. Catherine South Police need your help to find the most wanted men in the division. They say some of the men are driving up crime figures in other police divisions as well. Krista Campbell reports.
The quarterly virtual town hall meeting of the St. Catherine South Police, where citizens are updated on crime-fighting efforts and security issues in the division. On this occasion, the police focused on transnational organized crime and its impact on other crimes like guns and drugs trafficking. From a list of the most wanted men in the division, Detective Inspector Dubrick Stevenson said Cornel Miller, better known as Nyam Nyam, who mostly operates in the Old Harbour Bay area, is a major concern.
This is a man who moves between Old Harbour and Haiti, and through his indirect actions in terms of providing weaponry for other gangs and gangsters across the length and breadth of Jamaica, he single-handedly contributes to the overall violent crime figures of our nation.
Now, as the police keep close watch on crime hotspots like Central Village, they say Stokely Collins is on their radar.
He's one of the main players in the Central Village community. Also moves between Central Village and the Crossroads area, Friendship Lane. Has been on our wanted list for a number of years. One of the main influencers for a lot of the violence that occurred and occurs within Central Village.
Howard Wedderburn, 47-year-old Wayne Hutchinson from Waterford, Karen Copeland, a.k.a. Stammer from Old Harbour, and 29-year-old Renoy Johnson, otherwise called Ren, are also wanted.
Jason Duncan, OC Teflon, operates out of the Waterford space, and as mentioned, these criminals do not stay in one local, so he's also someone who operates out of the Grand Spin area in St. Andrew North, as also the Lawrence Tavern space. Marlon Barnett, OC Jomo, similarly moves between the Gregory Park space as well as West Kingston and Spanish Town.
Meanwhile, Shenardo Kipping, alias Berris, is said to have fled Old Harbour in St. Catherine to the neighbouring parish of Clarendon after allegedly committing 3 murders. Krista Campbell, TVJ News.
A Saint Ann man was arrested and charged after a video showing him assaulting a woman on Wednesday. 43-year-old Gary Grant of Brownstown was charged with assault occasioning bodily harm. According to reports, Mr. Grant attended a graduation for his son that he shared with the woman. During the ceremony, the child was given awards for academic excellence. Mr. Grant requested to see the awards from the mother when an argument developed. He slapped the woman in the face and kicked her in the stomach. A report was made and he was taken to the Brownstown police station, where he was charged and given bail with surety. He is scheduled to attend court in September. The Transport Operators Development Sustainable Services, TODS, is taking issue with PPV drivers involved in crime. This as public passenger vehicles were featured in at least 2 incidents of predial larceny this week.
On Thursday, the bodies of 2 men believed to be goat thieves were found in a public passenger vehicle in Content, Adelphi, St. James. Also this week, slaughtered stolen goats and cows were found in a public passenger vehicle in Gibraltar, St. Anne. The driver and passenger were killed by an angry mob from the community. President of the Transport Operators Development Sustainable Services, Todd Edgerton Newman, is concerned.
The sector is making back their investment and receiving a little return on it. But let me go to the core issue of rogue drivers using the sector to prey not only on people but on animals. It have to stop. And if the sector turn against me again and again for saying this, I have no problem, but I will say it again.
Mr. Newman is urging investors to do thorough background checks on the people hired to drive their vehicles.
There are some owners who are picking up a man or a woman for that matter who just have a driver's license. All you have is a PPPV driver's or a driver's license. And you give them your vehicle to operate. And they are out there engaging in all manner of evil without your knowledge. And at the end of the day, when you found out, you're worried and you become an accomplice.
He's also siding with the Transport Authority, which has vowed to take a zero-tolerance approach in weeding the system of criminals.
At the Transport Authority, it is a regulation, or you want to call it a law, that drivers must have badge, must be cleared. This is the only sector where employees have to be cleared 100% before they can work. It's a very tough sector, very, very tough.
Hal Shane Burke, TVJ News.
The Medical Association of Jamaica says there is an urgency to increase and retain nurses and doctors in the public health system. President-elect of the MAJ, Leslie Mead, was speaking today on the morning agenda on Power 106. Dr. Mead says at present the ratio of doctors to patients in the public health system is low.
Similarly, for the doctors in the A&E department, we need to ensure that there are consultant accident and emergency physicians manning each emergency department, as well as having the other medical officers that can carry out the duties. In addition to that, I think that if we do not have enough full-time staff, we need to ensure that the sessional doctors can be employed to help to carry out some of the work that is necessary within these departments. So there are a number of things that can be done in terms of assisting to alleviate some of the pressures on the staff.
Meanwhile, the internal medicine wards at most hospitals are at 160% capacity.
What we have been seeing over the last few weeks is an increased number of patients being admitted to the hospital wards, particularly the internal medicine ward. And because of this, there is some difficulty in admitting patients from the accident and emergency department onto the wards. And so we have a backup of patients there where patients still have to be managed in the accident and emergency unit. In addition to that, we are still having the patients presenting who may need emergency care, those who may...
It's time for a break. Stay with us. More stories when we return. Welcome back to the Midday News. The police in Clarendon are appealing to persons who frequent rivers and recreational purposes to be careful. This after the drowning this week of a man at Sutton River. The deceased, 54-year-old Leroy Hill, was visiting from New York. A few hours after he arrived from the airport, he went for a swim. According to police reports, he made a dive and did not resurface. An alarm was raised and the body retrieved by two men who attempted CPR, but it was too late. He was pronounced dead at hospital. It's now time for the Business Minute.
The electricity and water supply sector increased by 0.7% in the first quarter. The Statistical Institute of Jamaica says the marginal growth was associated with a 1.2% increase in electricity consumption. 747,000 megawatt hours were produced for January to March versus 737,000 for the same period last year. This was driven by increased demand for energy from commercial customers. Meanwhile, water consumption fell by 1.3% in the first quarter, moving to 4,668 million gallons in 2023 from 4,728 million gallons in 2022. Residential customers consumed less water in the quarter as there were water restrictions in some areas. On the international scene, the US added 209,000 jobs in June and the unemployment rate dipped to 3.6%, according to data released Friday by the Labor Department. Economists expected the US to add roughly 240,000 jobs last month and for the jobless rate to fall to 3.6%, according to consensus estimates, down from 3.7% in May. Despite persistent recession warnings and rapid Federal Reserve rate hikes, the US economy has remained sturdy throughout 2023. Job gains and economic growth have slowed from last year, but the economy has continued to expand, all while inflation falls from 40-year highs. And that's it for the Business Minute. I'm Hal Shaneberg.
Time now for the top regional and international stories.
In the region, the U.S. Coast Guard repatriated 94 migrants to Haiti and 21 to the Bahamas. Officials warned that migrants indicted at sea or land on U.S. soil will be returned to their home of origin or departure and will not be permitted to remain in the U.S. if they arrive unlawfully. Since October 1, 2022, the U.S. Coast Guard has intercepted or encountered 4,117 Haitian migrants. Officials say they will continue to be present in the air and water to deter illegal sea entry. On the international scene, rescuers in Ecuador are working through the night to free dozens of people trapped in gondolas on one of the world's highest cable car systems. According to reports, firefighters were alerted around 4 p.m. local time on Thursday of a technical failure that affected the Quito cable car with at least 70 people trapped. Up to news time, 17 people had been rescued so far. And a deadly fire on a cargo ship that claimed 2 Newark officials have been identified as 45-year-old Augie Akaba and 49-year-old Wayne Brooks, both Engine 16 firefighters for the Newark Fire Department. They were killed while trying to extinguish the flames consuming a ship carrying vehicles in the port of Newark Wednesday night. 5 other firefighters were injured in the blaze. They suffered burns, heat exhaustion, and smoke inhalation. The Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, along with the Essex County Prosecutor Office, are investigating what caused the fire. And those are the top regional and international stories. I'm Kerry-Ann Simpson.
We head to a quick break. When we come back, we'll have your midday sports report with Jermaine Brown.